The distress beacon from Verdant Ridge Colony had been pulsing for 6 hours before the Galactic Wildlife Containment Bureau could scramble a response team. Hervik checked his scanner for the third time as their shuttle descended through the atmosphere. The readings made no sense. A Shriekwing, alive and active, less than 200 meters from inhabited structures. His forearms tensed involuntarily. He had seen the aftermath of a Shriekwing attack once before. The memory still interrupted his sleep cycles. "How many casualties?" he asked the human administrator who met them at the landing pad. Robert Prescott looked exhausted, his work clothes covered in dust and something that might have been engine grease. "None. That's why I kept delaying the emergency response." Hervik's translator implant struggled with the human's tone. Delay made no sense. Shriekwings were Class VII lethal predators. They hunted in dead silence until the moment their hypersonic scream liquefied your internal organs from 30 meters away. Protocol demanded immediate evacuation followed by orbital strikes if ground teams failed containment. "Explain delay reasoning," Hervik said, his scales rippling with agitation. Dr. Yuki Sato stepped forward from the containment team. She was the only other human present, a xenobiologist whose file indicated she had worked on 73 worlds. "Let him show us first. I think words won't be enough." Robert nodded and gestured toward a path leading into the forest. "It's better if you see it yourself, but I need to warn you, what you're about to witness goes against every protocol you've memorized." The team moved in standard formation. Hervik took point with 2 security personnel behind him, both carrying enough firepower to stop a charging Velkmer bull. Dr. Sato walked alongside Robert, her expression curious rather than afraid. That bothered Hervik more than he wanted to admit. Humans had a reputation for being irrationally calm around dangerous fauna. Something about evolving on a death world where everything wanted to kill them. They heard it before they saw it, a low thrumming sound that vibrated through the ground. Hervik raised one hand, signaling the team to halt. His thermal scanner painted the scene ahead in sharp relief. One large heat signature, approximately 4 meters tall with a wingspan of at least 7 meters. Next to it, impossibly close, a much smaller signature barely a meter high. "Containment positions," Hervik whispered into his comm. "Wait," Robert said quietly. "Just watch." They emerged from the tree line into a small clearing. Hervik's training took over, his mind cataloging threats automatically. The Shriekwing sat in the center, its massive owl-like body covered in feathers that shifted between deep purple and black. Its eyes, huge and bioluminescent, tracked their approach with predatory focus. The creature's talons, each as long as Hervik's forearm, dug into the soil. Its beak could snap a person in half. Beneath one of its wings, a human child sat cross-legged with a book in her lap. She was reading aloud, her voice clear and unhurried. Then the princess discovered the dragon wasn't mean at all, just lonely and misunderstood. The Shriekwing's head tilted slightly, following the words as if it understood them. One massive wing remained curved protectively over the child, shading her from the afternoon sun. Hervik's translator couldn't process what he was seeing. His species had evolved from prey animals. Every instinct screamed that the child was already dead, that they were witnessing the moment before the killing strike. But the child showed no fear. She turned a page, smiled at something in the book, and continued reading. "That's my daughter Lily," Robert said softly. "She's 8 years old. 3 weeks ago she wandered into the forest during recreation time. We found her 4 hours later, asleep against that creature's side." "Impossible," Hervik breathed. "Shriekwings don't bond, they don't form packs. They're solitary ambush predators." Dr. Sato was already recording everything with her handheld scanner. Apparently this one didn't receive the memo about its own behavior patterns. Lily looked up from her book and waved at the group. "Hi, Dad. Did you bring the fish for Hoot? He's really hungry today." The Shriekwing, which the child had apparently named Hoot, made a soft cooing sound. To Hervik's ears, it sounded like a rock slide wrapped in breaking glass, but the child beamed at it. "I brought it, sweetie," Robert called back. "Stay there for a moment, okay?" "We're fine," Lily said, scratching the creature under what passed for its chin. The Shriek-Wing's eyes half closed, its thrumming deepening into something almost musical. "Hoot likes the story about the dragon. I think he relates to it." One of the security officers, a Dendarian with exceptional hearing, made a distressed clicking sound. "Sir, my equipment registers elevated stress markers from all team members. The Predator shows 0 stress indicators. It's completely relaxed." Hervik watched as Robert approached his daughter, moving slowly and deliberately. The Shriek-Wing's eyes snapped open, fixing on the human adult. Its wings spread slightly, not fully extending but clearly ready. "It's okay, Hoot," Lily said, placing one small hand on the creature's chest. "That's my daddy. Remember, he feeds you." The wings folded back. Robert knelt beside his daughter and handed her a large fish from his pack. Lily took it and offered it to the Shriek-Wing, which gently took the meal in its beak and swallowed it whole. "Good boy," Lily said, patting the creature's side. Dr. Sato moved closer, fascinated. Hervik wanted to order her back but found he couldn't speak. The Shriek-Wing watched the xenobiologist approach. When she crossed within 10 meters, the creature's demeanor shifted instantly. The relaxed posture vanished. Its feathers stood erect, making it appear even larger. A low warning sound emerged from its throat, nothing like the purring it had made for the child. "That's far enough, Yuki," Robert said quickly. Dr. Sato stopped and slowly backed away. The moment she crossed back beyond 10 meters, the creature relaxed again, returning its attention to Lily. "It's protecting her," Yuki said in wonder. "Not just tolerating her presence, it's actively guarding her." Hervik finally found his voice. "This violates every known behavior pattern for the species. Shriek-Wings don't protect, they hunt." Robert stood and faced the containment officer. "I know what your protocols say, I've read them, but that thing you're seeing as a monster, my daughter sees it as a friend, and somehow, impossibly, it sees her as family." "Galactic law is clear," Hervik said, though his conviction wavered as he watched the child lean against the deadly predator without fear. "Class VII organisms must be eliminated on sight, no exceptions." "Then you'll have to go through every colonist on this planet," Robert said quietly, "because we won't let you kill something that loves our children." The standoff had begun. Hervik's command ship orbited overhead, waiting for his assessment. He sat in the colony's small administrative building, reviewing footage from 17 failed containment attempts over the past 3 weeks. Each recording showed the same pattern. Armed colonists approached the Shriek-Wing. The creature remained calm until they got within striking distance. Then it attacked with terrifying precision, stopping just short of lethal force. Warning strikes only. It never actually killed anyone. "That's not normal behavior either," Dr. Sato said, watching over his shoulder. "Shriek-Wings don't warn, they kill first and only." "Maybe it's sick," one of the security officers suggested. "Brain parasite affecting aggression response." Yuki shook her head. "I ran full medical scans from distance. It's in perfect health, better than perfect actually. Its stress hormones are lower than any wild Shriek-Wing on record." Robert entered with 2 cups of coffee. He offered one to Yuki, who accepted it gratefully. Hervik declined with a gesture. Humans and their hot bitter beverages, another inexplicable habit. "You want to understand what happened?" Robert asked. "I'll tell you everything, though I still don't fully believe it myself." Hervik gestured for him to continue. Understanding might lead to a solution that didn't require him to order the death of a creature currently napping with a human child on its back. Robert pulled up a chair. 3 weeks ago, the Shriek-Wing appeared near our livestock pens, killed 2 cattle in one night. We organized a hunting party the next morning. 12 armed colonists, good shooters, all of them. The creature dove at us from the tree line and the sound it made. He paused, his hands trembling slightly at the memory. 5 of us dropped our weapons to cover our ears. 3 more ran. The 4 who managed to fire missed completely because they couldn't aim while that scream rattled their skulls. It flew off and we thought we'd scared it away. We hadn't. It was establishing dominance. "Standard predator behavior," Hervik noted. The next night, Lily disappeared during evening recreation period. The children play near the community center where we can see them, but she wandered off. We searched for hours. Found her just after midnight, curled up against the Shriekwing in a hollow between two fallen trees. Dr. Sato leaned forward. How did she react when you found her? She was annoyed we woke her up, Robert said with a tired laugh. Said she'd made a new friend and his name was Hoot because of the sounds he made. The creature was awake when we arrived. It positioned itself between us and Lily, wings spread, ready to attack. But Lily stood up and told it we were her family. She actually scolded it for being rude to her dad. And it listened? Hervik asked, his scales rippling with disbelief. It sat down, just like that, folded its wings and sat like an obedient pet while Lily hugged me and explained she'd gotten lost, but Hoot helped her find shelter. Hervik pulled up the next set of files. Your first attempt to separate them was 12 hours later. Robert nodded grimly. Worst decision I ever made. We tried to grab Lily while the creature was hunting. It returned while she was screaming for us to put her down. The sound it made then was different from its attack scream. It was distressed, afraid for her. Shriekwings don't feel fear, Hervik said. This one did. It caught up to us in seconds, landed directly in our path. We thought we were dead, but it didn't attack. It looked at Lily, who was crying and reaching for it. She broke free from my arms and ran to it. That thing lowered its head so she could throw her arms around its neck. The room fell silent except for the hum of recording equipment. I tried 6 more times over the next week, Robert continued. Used tranquilizers once, hit the creature with enough sedative to drop a cargo hauler. It fought through the drugs until it reached Lily, then collapsed at her feet. She stayed with it for 18 hours until it woke up. She was furious with me, said I hurt her friend. Dr. Sato reviewed her scans again. The bond goes both ways. When Lily is present, the creature's oxytocin levels mirror human parental patterns. It genuinely views her as offspring. How is that possible? Hervik demanded. They're different species, different worlds of origin, different evolutionary paths. I don't know, Yuki admitted, but it's happening. Look at this. She pulled up a video from 2 days ago. Lily sat in the clearing, sorting colored stones. The Shriekwing brought her more stones in its beak, dropping them gently into her pile. When she arranged them in patterns, it tilted its head, studying her work. It's learning from her, Yuki continued. Watch this next part. In the video, Lily picked up a blue stone and said blue clearly. The Shriekwing made a sound, trying to mimic her. The attempt was terrible, more screech than word, but the intent was obvious. It's attempting language acquisition, Hervik said flatly. On day 5, Lily introduced it to other children, Robert said. 3 of them supervised. The creature allowed them to approach as long as Lily told it they were friends. Now there are 6 children who can interact with it safely. It's learning social cues from an 8-year-old human. Hervik stood and paced, his 4 arms gesturing in agitation. None of this should be possible. Shriekwings are perfect killing machines. They don't bond, they don't learn, they don't protect. Maybe they do all those things, Dr. Sato said quietly. Maybe we just never gave them a reason to show us. Every interaction we've had with their species has been violent because we approached them with violence. Lily approached with trust. She's a child, Hervik protested. She didn't know better. Exactly, Yuki said. She didn't know she should be afraid, so she wasn't. And that creature recognized something in her, innocence maybe, or just pure acceptance. Whatever it saw, it responded to it. A communication alert chimed. Hervik's command ship was requesting an update. He had to give them something. Orders demanded he classify this as a failed bonding attempt and authorize lethal force. The creature was too dangerous to allow it to live. But as he watched the video loop of Lily reading to the Shriekwing, the creature listening with obvious attention and contentment, Hervik realized he couldn't give that order. Not yet. I need more time, he told Robert, to study this, to understand it. How much time? Robert asked. 72 hours, then I'll have to make a decision. Outside, Lily's voice carried through the evening air, laughing as Hoot made his attempted word sounds. The creature had learned to play fetch with a ball, returning it gently each time she threw it. Hervik sent his report to the command ship. 3 days to solve an impossible problem. 3 days to understand how a human child had done what every containment protocol said couldn't be done. 3 days before he might have to kill something that had learned to love. The response from Galactic Command arrived at dawn. Hervik read it 3 times, hoping the translator was malfunctioning. It wasn't. Shriekwing species classification confirmed Class VII lethal. Historical record shows 4 colony eliminations across known space. Standing Protocol Alpha 9 activated. Immediate. Termination authorized. No APPALS process available. He had 12 hours to comply or face court-martial for dereliction of duty. Dr. Sato found him on the observation deck, staring at the colony below. Lily was already awake, feeding Hoot breakfast while telling him about something she'd dreamed. The creature listened, making its strange, purring, grinding sound that passed for contentment. "You received the order," Yuki said. "It wasn't a question." "Protocol is clear. I have no discretion in this matter." Hervik's scales had gone pale, a sign of distress in his species. "The creature must be eliminated." "You can't do that, not after what we've seen." "I don't have a choice." He turned to face her. 4 colonies destroyed, Yuki. Over 3,000 deaths attributed to this species. The Galactic Council doesn't take Class VII classifications lightly. Those were different circumstances, different individuals. That shriekwing down there hasn't hurt anyone. "Yet," Hervik said, "what happens when it matures further? When hormonal changes override this temporary bonding? What happens when Lily grows older and the creature no longer recognizes her?" They were interrupted by shouting from below. Hervik activated the visual feed. 20 colonists had formed a circle around the clearing where Lily and Hoot rested. They were armed, not with weapons pointed at the creature, but standing as a barrier between it and the containment team. Robert stood at the front. "I know you've received your orders, Hervik. I'm telling you now, we won't stand aside. You want to kill that creature, you'll have to arrest every human on this colony." Hervik descended to ground level, Yuki following close behind. The colonists parted to let them through, but closed ranks immediately after. Lily sat with her back against Hoot's chest, the creature's wings folded around her like a living fortress. "This isn't a rebellion I can ignore," Hervik said to Robert. "Interfering with galactic wildlife containment operations is a serious offense." "Then arrest me, arrest all of us, but you're not touching Hoot." One of the security officers stepped forward. "Sir, we could use stun nets, incapacitate the humans temporarily and complete the mission." "No," Hervik said sharply. "Using force against colonists would create an incident far worse than one dangerous creature." But he couldn't simply walk away. Dr. Sato moved past the colonists, approaching the 10-meter boundary that Hoot enforced. The creature's eyes tracked her, but it didn't shift to attack posture. Lily must have recognized the doctor because she called out, "It's okay, Hoot. She's the nice scientist who doesn't want to hurt you." The creature relaxed slightly. "I have data that Command needs to see," Yuki said loud enough for everyone to hear. 3 weeks of behavioral documentation, video evidence of cognitive processing, emotional regulation, and social learning. This isn't just a predator tolerating prey. This is intelligent, adaptive behavior that contradicts everything we thought we knew about the species. "Command has made their decision based on existing data," Hervik replied. "Then we give them new data." Yuki pulled out her scanner, projecting holographic images into the air. "Look at this. Brain scan from 5 days ago compared to scans of wild shriekwings. The regions associated with social bonding are 40% more active. The aggression centers are suppressed by nearly 60%. This creature's brain has physically changed since bonding with Lily." Hervik studied the images. The differences were undeniable, but would they be enough? "How do we know it's permanent?" he asked. "Neural plasticity could reverse." "It could," Yuki admitted. But every day the bond strengthens, those changes become more embedded. In another few weeks, this Shriekwing will be neurologically incapable of viewing Lily as anything other than family. What about other humans, other species? That's what we need time to find out. Let me run controlled tests. Scientific documentation that can be presented to the Galactic Council as grounds for creating a new classification. Hervik considered this. It was a thin argument, but it was something. What kind of tests? Incremental exposure. Measure Hoot's responses to various scenarios. Document his ability to distinguish friend from threat. Prove that his restraint isn't an accident but a learned behavior that can be maintained. Robert stepped forward. You want to test if Hoot can control himself, if he can be trusted? Essentially, yes. If we can demonstrate that the creature responds to commands, shows judgment, and maintains non-aggression even under stress, we might be able to argue for reclassification. And if he fails the tests? Robert asked quietly. No one answered. They all knew what failure meant. Lily pushed her way out from under Hoot's wing and walked toward the gathered adults. The creature immediately stood, following her at a protective distance. Every colonist tensed. Every security officer reached for their weapons. Hoot won't fail, Lily said with absolute confidence that only children possess. He's smart. He understands when people are scared and when they're mean. He knows the difference. She walked right up to Hervik, looking up at his towering form without fear. You're scared of him because he's big and has sharp claws, but so do you. You have 4 arms and could probably hurt people too if you wanted. But you don't because you're nice. Hoot is the same way. The simplicity of her logic struck Hervik harder than any argument from the adults. She was right. His species had evolved from predators too. Every intelligent species had violence in their history. They had simply learned to control it. Could a Shriekwing learn the same control? I'll give you 48 hours, Hervik said finally. 2 days to prove this creature can maintain discipline and judgment. If it shows aggression, if it fails to demonstrate control, I execute the termination order. No extensions. Robert nodded slowly. What tests did you have in mind? Dr. Sato activated her data pad, pulling up a testing protocol. We start simple. Distance tolerance, stress responses, command recognition. Then we escalate to threat simulation and multi-species interaction. If Hoot passes everything, we'll have enough documentation to request an emergency council review. And if the council says no? One of the colonists asked. Then at least we tried, Yuki said quietly. At least we gave him a chance. Lily walked back to Hoot and hugged his leg, which was about as high as she could reach. Don't worry, we'll show them how good you are. The creature lowered its head, gently touching its beak to the top of her head. A gesture of affection that made several colonists wipe their eyes. Hervik returned to his ship to file the delay notice. He was risking his career, possibly his freedom. But as he looked at the image of Lily and Hoot on his screen, he realized some risks were worth taking. The testing would begin at sunrise. Test protocols began at first light. Dr. Sato had assembled monitoring equipment around the clearing, creating a controlled environment where every biological response could be measured. Hervik watched from a safe distance, his career hanging on the results of these evaluations. Test 1 is simple separation, Yuki explained through the comm system. We need to establish that Hoot can tolerate distance from Lily without becoming violent. Robert knelt beside his daughter. Sweetheart, you need to walk away from Hoot for a little while. Stay where he can see you, but give him some space. Lily nodded and patted the creature's chest. I'll be right over there, Hoot. You can see me the whole time. Be good, okay? She walked 10 meters away and sat down with a coloring book. Hoot's head swiveled to track her movement, his luminescent eyes locked onto her position. His wings twitched but remained folded. Stress hormones elevated, Dr. Sato reported, but within manageable ranges, no aggression markers. Lily moved to 20 meters. Hoot stood up, taking 2 steps toward her before stopping himself. A low sound emerged from his throat, something between a whine and a chirp. He's distressed, Yuki noted, but showing restraint. At 30 meters, Hoot paced in a small circle, clearly uncomfortable. But he didn't chase after Lily or make any aggressive moves toward the observers. Remarkable, Hervik muttered. Self-imposed discipline. After 5 minutes, Lily was allowed to return. Hoot immediately settled, his stress readings dropping to baseline as she leaned against him. Test 2 involves controlled stressors, Dr. Sato announced. We'll introduce sudden loud noises and bright lights, common triggers for predator aggression. She activated a sound emitter. A sharp bang echoed across the clearing, simulating a weapon's discharge. Hoot's response was instantaneous. His wings spread wide, curving forward to shield Lily completely from the direction of the sound. His feathers stood erect, making him appear twice his normal size. But he didn't charge the source, didn't scream, didn't attack. Defensive posture only, Yuki said, protecting, not retaliating. The bright light test came next. Powerful beams flooded the clearing, mimicking the blinding flashes predators instinctively flee from. Hoot closed his inner eyelids, protecting his sensitive vision, but again he positioned himself as a barrier between Lily and the perceived threat. He's not running and he's not fighting, one of the security officers observed. He's just shielding her. Lily poked her head out. From under Hoot's wing. Can you stop scaring him, please? He doesn't like loud noises. 2 more tests, Hervik called down. Then we'll know if this can work. Test 3 was the most dangerous. A colonist volunteer wearing full protective armor approached the clearing in an aggressive manner, moving quickly and directly toward Lily with raised arms. Remember, Robert said into his comm to the volunteer, you're simulating a threat. Make it convincing, but be ready to abort if this goes wrong. The volunteer charged forward, shouting. Hoot reacted with speed that made several observers flinch. He launched himself between the threat and Lily, wings spread, talons extended, beak open. The volunteer stumbled backward, terrified despite the protective gear. Hoot could have struck, could have killed, but he held position, every muscle tensed, waiting. Hoot, stop, Lily called out. It's okay, it's just pretend. The creature's posture immediately shifted. He turned his head to look at Lily, then back at the volunteer, then at Lily again. Processing, understanding. They're friends, Lily continued, walking up beside Hoot and placing her hand on his leg. Nobody is hurting anybody. You did good protecting me, but you can relax now. Slowly, deliberately, Hoot folded his wings and sat down. His eyes never left the volunteer, but the aggression had vanished. Extraordinary, Hervik breathed. He takes commands. Even in fight response, even with adrenaline flooding his system, he can still hear her and choose to obey. The volunteer removed his helmet, breathing hard. I thought I was dead. The look in those eyes was pure predator, but he stopped. That thing actually stopped and thought about what she said. Dr. Sato's hands shook as she recorded the data. This changes everything. He's not operating on instinct alone. There's genuine cognitive processing happening. He assessed the situation, heard Lily's input, and made a choice. One more test, Hervik said, the most important one. Test 4 involved multiple species interaction. Over the past hour, volunteers from 3 different alien species had gathered at the colony. A Dendarian, a Velkmer, and a member of Hervik's own species. None of them had met Hoot before. All were potential triggers for territorial aggression. Lily needs to introduce them, Yuki explained. One at a time, we're testing if Hoot can extend his protective behavior to Lily's social group, or if his tolerance is limited to humans. The Dendarian went first, its crystalline exoskeleton reflecting the morning light. Lily took its hand and led it toward Hoot. This is my friend. Her name is Crystal. Say hello, Hoot. Hoot studied the Dendarian for a long moment. Crystal stood perfectly still, trying not to show fear. Then Hoot lowered his head in what might have been a bow or might have been submission. Crystal touched his beak gently, and Hoot made his purring sound. He accepts her, Lily said happily. See, Hoot knows friends when I tell him. The Velkmer and the other volunteer from Hervik's species followed with similar results. Each time, Hoot evaluated, listened to Lily's introduction, and accepted the stranger into his protected circle. By midday, 6 different species had been successfully introduced to the creature that should have killed them all on sight. "This is impossible," Hervik said, but he was smiling as he said it. "Every behavioral model we have says this shouldn't work." "Models built on limited data," Dr. Sato countered. "We've only ever encountered Shrikwings in conflict scenarios. We assumed they were incapable of socialization because we never gave them a reason to be social. They're ambush predators, solitary hunters. On their home world, yes. But what if that's adaptation to environment rather than fixed behavior? Put any intelligent creature in resource competition and they become aggressive. Give them safety, food, and acceptance." She gestured at Hoot, who was now playing a gentle game of tag with Lily and 2 other children. "Maybe they're capable of more than we thought." Hervik recorded the final results and transmitted them to his command ship with a priority flag. The documentation was undeniable. Hoot had passed every test. He had demonstrated self-control, command response, social learning, and species-neutral protection. "What happens now?" Robert asked. "Now I argue for reclassification," Hervik said. "I present this data to the Galactic Council and request emergency review. If they agree, Hoot becomes the first Class VII creature granted protected status under human supervision. And if they don't agree..." Hervik watched Lily teaching Hoot how to count by arranging stones in groups. The creature carefully moved stones with its beak, trying to match her patterns. "Then I'll have failed the most important test of all," Hervik said quietly. "The test of whether our protocols serve justice or just habit." He looked at Dr. Sato. "Prepare a comprehensive report. I'm invoking emergency council authority. We present in 48 hours." For the first time since arriving on Verdant Ridge, Hervik felt something he hadn't expected. Hope. Hope that intelligence and compassion could triumph over fear and tradition. Hope that a human child had shown them all a better way. The Galactic Council chamber held representatives from 47 species, each seated in gravity-adjusted pods that floated in a perfect sphere around the central platform. Hervik stood there now, his 4 arms trembling slightly despite his best efforts at composure. Beside him, Dr. Sato prepared the presentation files. "Officer Hervik," the council speaker began, a being of pure energy contained in a crystalline matrix, "you have requested emergency review of a Class VII termination order. This is highly irregular. Explain your reasoning." Hervik activated the holographic display. Images of Lily and Hoot filled the chamber, showing their first meeting, the testing sequences, and the successful multi-species interactions. "Honored council members, I present evidence that contradicts our fundamental understanding of Shrikwing behavior. What we classified as an irredeemable predator species may instead be highly intelligent beings capable of sophisticated social bonding and learned restraint." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Several council members exchanged skeptical glances. A representative from the Velkmer Collective spoke up. "We are familiar with Shrikwing attacks. My species lost 400 colonists to a single individual. You're suggesting that creature could have been peaceful." "I'm suggesting we never gave it the opportunity," Dr. Sato interjected. "Every recorded encounter with Shrikwings involved armed conflict from first contact. We approached them as threats. They responded as threatened." The holographic display shifted to brain scan comparisons. "This is Hoot's neural structure compared to wild specimens. The differences are significant. Regions associated with social bonding show 40% increased activity. Aggression centers are suppressed by 60%. Genetic anomaly," another council member suggested. "One aberrant individual doesn't represent the species. Which is why I'm proposing a pilot program," Hervik said, "not a blanket reclassification. Allow humans to interact with Shrikwings under controlled conditions. Study the outcomes. Build a database of successful integration attempts. You're proposing we risk more lives based on one lucky bond between a child and a predator. The speaker's voice carried disapproval. I'm proposing we acknowledge that humans possess a unique ability, Yuki said firmly. Their evolutionary history on a high-gravity death world required them to coexist with megafauna. They developed neurological adaptations, mirror neurons and oxytocin responses that trigger with non-human animals. They form bonds where other species see only threats. She pulled up historical files. 3 previous cases exist in our records, cases that were dismissed or suppressed. A human miner on Kelvin 7 befriended a razorback serpent, a Class VI predator. A human researcher on Pax 12 successfully bonded with a void hunter. Both cases were classified as anomalies and the humans were removed from those worlds. We never studied why it worked. Because it shouldn't work, the Velkmer representative insisted. Predator-prey relationships are fundamental. You don't negotiate with something designed to kill you. Humans do it constantly, Yuki countered. On Earth, they coexist with creatures that could easily kill them. Bears, large felines, wolves. They learn to read animal behavior to establish trust through consistent non-aggressive interaction. It's not magic, it's pattern recognition and empathy. The display shifted to show Lily introducing Hoot to the Dendarian volunteer. The creature's careful acceptance, the gentle interaction, the complete absence of predatory behavior. This creature had every opportunity to kill, Hervik said. It was tested under stress, threatened, exposed to potential prey species. It chose restraint every single time because a human child taught it the value of friendship. A long silence filled the chamber. Finally, a council member from the Andrari collective spoke. Her species was known for emotional intelligence and diplomatic skill. The evidence is compelling, but I must ask the difficult question. What happens when the child grows older? When the bond weakens or changes? What happens if the human dies? Does the creature revert to predatory behavior? We don't know, Hervik admitted. That's why we need time and observation, that's why. I'm requesting protected status rather than full domestication classification. How many humans would participate in this program? The speaker asked. Initially, just those on Verdant Ridge Colony, Yuki said. 78 humans total, 12 of whom are children. If the program succeeds, we expand to willing volunteers on other colonies. We build protocols, establish safety measures, and most importantly, we learn. And if it fails, if the creature attacks, then we document what went wrong and adjust, Hervik said. But we don't condemn an entire species based on incomplete data. We don't kill something that has proven it can change. The council members consulted among themselves. Hervik's career rested on their decision. So did Hoot's life. The speaker finally addressed them. Officer Hervik, you have violated protocol by delaying a lawful termination order. Dr. Sato, you have advocated for a complete revision of our classification system based on limited observation. Under normal circumstances, we would reject this proposal and proceed with standard containment. Hervik's scales went pale. Beside him, Yuki's hands clenched into fists. However, the speaker continued, these are not normal circumstances. The evidence you've presented suggests we may have made fundamental errors in our understanding of predator species intelligence. The Council agrees to a conditional approval. Hope surged through Hervik. The Shriekwing designated as Hoot will be granted protected status for a probationary period of 1 galactic standard year. During this time, Dr. Sato will maintain observation and submit quarterly reports. Any sign of unprovoked aggression results in immediate termination. Any human volunteer must sign comprehensive liability waivers. The speaker paused, and Hervik sensed there was more. Additionally, we are establishing a new designation, human-mediated bonded status. This applies to any Class V or higher predator that successfully completes a probationary period under human supervision. Officer Hervik, you will lead the new department overseeing this program. Me, Hervik said, startled. You risked your career to challenge unjust protocol. That suggests the integrity we need for this position. You will return to Verdant Ridge as permanent liaison and help establish guidelines for future human-predator integration attempts. Yuki was smiling so broadly her face hurt. Hervik felt dizzy with relief. There is one final condition, the speaker said. We require testimony from the human child. Let the council hear directly from the one who made this impossible bond possible. A communication channel opened. Lily appeared on the display, sitting in the colony's administrative office with Hoot's massive form visible behind her. The creature was so large he could barely fit in the frame. Hello, Lily said, waving at the floating council members. Are you the people deciding if Hoot can stay? We are, the speaker said gently. Can you tell us why you think he should? Lily thought about it seriously. Because he's my friend, and friends take care of each other. Hoot takes care of me and I take care of him. That's what makes someone good, right? Not what they look like or how big their teeth are. It's whether they choose to be kind. She reached back and patted Hoot's side. The creature made his purring sound, and several council members visibly reacted to the gentleness in that rumbling noise. Hoot could hurt people if he wanted to, Lily continued. But he doesn't want to. He wants to protect people now. Daddy says that makes him braver than most people because being strong and choosing not to hurt anyone is harder than just being nice when you're weak. The council chamber fell absolutely silent. Thank you, Lily, the speaker said softly. You may have taught us all something important today. The channel closed. The speaker addressed the assembly. Let this be remembered. On this day, we acknowledge that intelligence and compassion can exist in forms we didn't expect. We granted mercy where protocol demanded execution. Perhaps the humans have something to teach the galaxy after all. The vote was called. 42 in favor, 5 abstaining, none opposed. Hoot would live. 6 months had passed since the council's decision. Hervik stood on the observation platform overlooking the colony, watching a scene that still defied his understanding of the natural order. Lily, now 9 years old, ran through the meadow with 5 other children. Above them, 2 Shriekwings circled in perfect synchronization. Hoot and his mate, who the children had named Luna because of her silver-tinted feathers, had bonded 3 months ago. The female had been drawn by Hoot's strange behavior, approaching the colony cautiously over several weeks. Lily had been the one to make first. Contact naturally. The secondary bonding is progressing well, Dr. Sato said, joining him on the platform. She had taken permanent residence on Verdant Ridge, her xenobiology research now focused entirely on human-predator dynamics. Luna's behavioral adaptation is even faster than Hoot's was. She's learning from his example. 2 Class VII predators functioning as colony guardians, Hervik mused. If anyone had told me this a year ago, I would have questioned their sanity. A transport descended from orbit, carrying the quarterly inspection team. This had become routine now. Every 3 months, council observers arrived to document the ongoing experiment. So far, every report had been positive. Robert approached from the community center, carrying a data pad. The children want to show the inspectors their progress. Lily's been teaching Luna to recognize 20 different verbal commands. 20, Hervik's scales rippled with surprise. Hoot only knows 12. Luna's a faster learner, apparently, Robert said with a grin. Or maybe Lily's just getting better at teaching. The inspection team gathered in the main clearing. Hervik recognized the lead inspector, a stern Velkmar administrator named Court who had been skeptical of the entire program from the beginning. Show us the current state of integration, Court demanded, scanning the area with obvious tension. Lily stepped forward with confidence that had only grown over the past months. Hoot, Luna, come here, please. Both Shriekwings descended immediately, landing with surprising grace for creatures of their size. They positioned themselves on either side of the children, protective but not aggressive. Sit, Lily said. Both creatures sat, wings spread. They complied, displaying their full impressive wingspan. Gentle sounds only. Hoot made his purring rumble. Luna produced a softer trill, almost musical. Cord examined his scanner readings. Stress hormones are minimal, aggression markers non-existent. This is consistent with previous reports. He sounded almost disappointed that he couldn't find fault. Would you like to feed them? Lily offered, holding out a container of the fish that had become the creature's primary diet supplement. They're really nice if you're not scared. I am not scared, Court said indignantly, but his retreating posture suggested otherwise. I am merely cautious, which is appropriate protocol. One of the other children, a boy named Peter who was about 7, walked up to Luna and hugged her leg. The massive creature lowered her head and gently nuzzled him. Peter laughed and scratched under her beak. They've become part of the community, Robert explained. Last week during a storm, they sheltered 18 colonists under their wings when the community center lost power. Luna actually helped repair the building afterward, using her talons to position support beams while we welded them in place. Impossible, Court muttered, but his scanner confirmed the story in the colony's maintenance logs. Dr. Sato projected her latest findings into the air. I've been studying the mechanism behind the bonding. Humans release oxytocin in response to eye contact and gentle touch with animals. That chemical signal somehow triggers corresponding responses in creatures that typically don't form interspecies bonds. The Shriekwings aren't just tolerating humans. They're neurologically rewiring themselves to value the relationship. This could work with other species, one of the inspectors asked. We believe so. 3 more colonies have requested participation in the program. One wants to attempt integration with razorbacks, another with void hunters. We're reviewing applications carefully, selecting humans who show strong empathy markers and prior animal handling experience. Court circled the clearing, watching as children played a game with both Shriekwings. They threw balls that the creatures retrieved, careful to never use their talons around the children. At one point, Lily climbed onto Hoot's back and he walked her around the meadow like a living carnival ride. This violates everything we understand about predator behavior, Court said quietly. Maybe we didn't understand it as well as we thought, Hervik replied. Maybe we saw monsters because we expected monsters. The humans saw potential friends. Humans are reckless. Humans are optimistic. There's a difference. A commotion near the forest edge drew everyone's attention. A wild creature emerged from the trees, something native to Verdant Ridge that resembled a cross between a bear and an insect. It was territorial and aggressive, known to attack colonists. Before anyone could react, Hoot and Luna launched themselves between the threat and the children. But they didn't attack the creature. Instead, they spread their wings wide, made loud warning sounds, and herded the intruder back toward the forest. The native creature, recognizing it was outmatched, retreated. The Shriekwings returned to the children, who thanked them with hugs and praise. They're protecting the entire colony now, Yuki said softly. Not just Lily. They've expanded their protective behavior to include all humans here, and they're showing judgment about when to use force versus when to simply deter threats. Court's posture shifted, a sign of acceptance in his species. I will recommend continued approval of the program, with expansion parameters as requested. He looked at Lily. Young human, you have accomplished something remarkable. Lily shrugged. I just made friends with someone who needed a friend. That's not remarkable, that's just being nice. Over the next hours, the inspection team completed their evaluation. Every metric exceeded expectations. Integration success, safety protocols, community acceptance, even economic benefits, as the Shriekwings had become effective guardians against all manner of threats. As the inspectors prepared to depart, Court approached Hervik privately. I opposed this program, the Velkmer admitted. I believed it was dangerous sentiment overriding practical safety. I was wrong. The humans haven't tamed these creatures. They've revealed something that was always present but never given opportunity to develop. Which is, Hervik asked. Choice, the capacity to choose cooperation over conflict. We assumed predators were slaves to instinct. But given alternative options, given acceptance and purpose, they choose differently. Court gestured toward Hoot and Luna, now resting peacefully while children used them as living furniture for an outdoor reading circle. Perhaps the lesson isn't about the Shriekwings at all, Court continued. Perhaps it's about us, about our assumptions, about our fear. The inspection team departed with glowing reports. Hervik watched the shuttle climb into orbit, then returned his attention to the colony below. Lily was teaching Luna a new trick, having the massive creature carefully pick up small objects without damaging them. The Shriekwing concentrated intensely, her talons capable of shredding steel now delicately lifting a child's toy. Dr. Sato appeared beside Hervik again. 3 more species have contacted us. They want to know if humans could help with their predator problems. Word is spreading. The galaxy is beginning to understand what we learned here, Hervik said. That humans don't see danger where we do, they see possibility. It's more than that, Yuki replied. They see individuals. Where we saw a species classification, Lily saw Hoot, one being capable of kindness, deserving of chance. That's the real lesson. As evening approached, the colony prepared for the communal dinner they held twice weekly. Hoot and Luna had their own section at the gathering, where colonists brought them food and shared stories. The creatures listened, their luminescent eyes tracking speakers, their body language relaxed and content. Robert found Hervik and Yuki by the food preparation area. "Thank you," he said simply, "for believing us, for giving Hoot a chance." "Thank your daughter," Hervik replied. "She taught us all something we desperately needed to learn." Lily appeared, pulling on her father's hand. "Daddy, Hoot wants to show everyone the new sound he learned. Can he do it during dinner?" "What kind of sound?" Robert asked cautiously. "A happy sound, like laughing but different," Luna taught him. They gathered around as Lily stood beside Hoot. She whispered something to him, and the massive Shriekwing produced a sound unlike anything he'd made before. It was rhythmic, almost musical, a series of chirps and trills that somehow conveyed pure joy. The colonists applauded. Several wiped tears from their eyes. Luna joined in, harmonizing with Hoot in a duet that echoed across the meadow. Hervik recorded it all, knowing this moment would be shared across the galaxy. This was the sound of the impossible made real. The sound of predator and prey choosing harmony over conflict. The sound of a little girl's compassion changing the understanding of an entire civilization. As darkness fell, Lily curled up against Hoot's side with a book, reading by the light of his bioluminescent eyes while Luna kept watch. Around them, the colony settled into evening routines, safe under the protection of creatures that had once been feared across known space. The galaxy had declared Shriekwings too dangerous to approach. A human child had approached anyway, saw past the teeth and talons to something more fundamental. She had seen a friend. And in seeing that friendship as possible, she had made it real. The experiment continued. New colonies joined the program. More predators found bonds with patient humans. The Council established permanent protocols for human-mediated integration. But it all traced back to this moment, to this colony, to one girl who refused to believe that monsters couldn't also be friends. Hervik filed his final report of the day. The message was simple but profound. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their adaptability or even their courage. It was their relentless, unreasonable belief that anyone, regardless of how dangerous they appeared, deserved a chance to be better. In teaching the galaxy that lesson, they had made the universe a little less frightening and a lot more hopeful.